Hey, Mark Bare Naked Willie, how are you today, my friend?
Nice to see you, Dave Cooper, Building
You too,
Science
man. Hey,
BS
listen,
Friday Live.
hey, good. We're having a good day. Listen, just like yesterday, LinkedIn's having some issues. So everybody out there, we are right now. It's not live on LinkedIn. We're live on every other platform. So I'm going to remove and I'm going to try and put it back in. But outside of that, Mark, Willie, where are you for this BS Friday? It's been another week. Where are you, my friend?
Grand Junction, Colorado. I was in Colorado Springs yesterday, Dave.
Colorado Springs, man. And is it snowy there?
Depends what side of the mountain you're on.
Yeah. And what the heck has you on the road? Because I know you're on the road because Mark Bare Naked Willie does not fly.
If the audience could still see us, I think you just froze up, Dave.
Oh, I think you're frozen on your end.
Maybe we could pop out and pop in. You want to try to pop us in back into LinkedIn, Dave?
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. I already tried popping back into LinkedIn. Hey, Jen, give us a private chat if everything's going through. We seem to be having all kinds of glitches with the software these days. Anyhow, everybody, we are live on.
Our audience is there again. Dave said we're having problems logging into LinkedIn. He's going to try it again right now. There you go, Dave.
Love it. Are you with me, Mark?
I'm here. Do you want to try to log back into LinkedIn?
Yeah, I already reset it. So let's hop into this. Let's bring Arnie into the show, and then I can keep working through the technical stuff on that side. But listen, everybody, we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Maybe LinkedIn, but it's not connecting the last 2 days. But with that said, this is a BS Friday. We have been talking so much about mass timber in the last couple of weeks. It is exploding into the market. It is growing faster than any other segment, I believe, in offsite at the moment. It's just a huge growth pattern. The offsite conference that we're going to talk about today is going to be amazing. There is so much invested into the technology, the people, the speakers. It's probably going to be one of the top conferences that you could possibly attend just from the short bit that I've been looking at. So definitely want to make sure you tune in for today's show. Mark, why don't you do a quick intro for Arnie?
Absolutely. So the Forest Business Network is the preeminent to when you're in the timber space, both the mass timber and the logging and lumberyard sector. So Arnie Dieter and Craig Rollins have been blazing the trail for our industry for as long as anyone can remember. They are incredible people. I'm blessed to know Arnie. And this preview is for a conference that kicks off on Tuesday the 30th and goes through Thursday, April 1st. It's live, it's virtual, and it's good for 90 days. Yeah. It's very robust content, and Arnie is going to tell us all about it. Welcome to the show, Arnie. Happy Friday.
Yeah. Hey, Arnie, how you doing, buddy?
Good to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you. Mark's on the road. He's freezing up here and there. He's frozen in the perpetual thumbnail.
Dave, there you just froze up again, brother.
All right, listen, Mark, I got
Arnie,
it.
Can you catch us?
We're finally live on LinkedIn. It took me 4 attempts to go through, so outstanding. I'm super excited. Okay, listen, Arnie, like I told you before the show, and this happened yesterday's show, if it can go wrong, it will. But we're here. We roll with it. We have fun with it. I don't know if everybody heard my intro, but I do believe this is
Dave's freezing up. Can you catch me, Arnie?
Yeah, I think it's on your end, Mark. Is it on my end, Arnie, or Mark's end?
No, you're good, Dave. And Mark.
Yeah, it's Mark.
That's the Colorado thing, you know.
That is. Don't they? They have Wi-Fi in Colorado and 5G. I'm sure of it.
Heck, I'm in Missoula, Montana, and I've got it beautifully. So
yeah. So, Mark, it's the freezing ups on your end, my friend. So, okay. All right, listen, Arnie, this is going to be a lot of fun, this show, right? Because we're kicking off the conference that's coming up at the end of the month and running through April 1st. We had a short time to talk about it. We have the website ready to show, but kind of tell us a little bit about who you are. I ask everybody, and I say, we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, Arnie, or we will call your family and find it out. But you only have about 2 minutes to do it, and then we'll hop into the good stuff, which is this conference coming up.
Well, sounds good. So thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate being in front of everybody. I was born and raised in Illinois on a farm. I went to school at Southern Illinois University for a forest management, wood science degree, communications degree. Went down there originally to play a little baseball, and realized I was too fat and slow for that. But loved the woods and got into building products right out of college. I worked for Georgia Pacific for about 20 years, ran their lumber division, ended up moving to Colorado, and now we would never leave the mountains. But I've got two beautiful daughters. They're both on the front line of COVID. Actually, where Mark is right now, my one daughter is a pediatric nurse, specializes in cancer, and the other one runs a women's shelter. So very proud of them. My wife Debbie is just married way up. We've been married 29 years. So we're based in Missoula, Montana. That's where Forest Business Network is based. Craig Rawlings and I and Tom Waddell. So we founded that company about 15 years ago. But we've been in the space. I've been in the construction and building product space for basically 35 years, 36 years. And Craig Rawlings, my business partner, has been a big part of that. His family business has built many of the sawmills across the United States. So we do a variety of work in the space. And now the mass timber has become a big part of our business and really an emphasis for our company. And we started hosting the conference, the first one, I think, in the country in 2016. And it's really grown from that point.
I love it. Well, first of all, big shout out to your siblings, your daughters that are on the front line, managing all of that. I'm sure they're looking forward to a break from this COVID soon. Hopefully, it comes for them. Yeah, for sure. All right, so you've been in the wood business for a long time, right? I always get to the point, right, Mark? I mean, it's true. Everybody in this industry is in it because it started somewhere. It started with a passion, a love for something, right? I mean, you don't need to be throwing conferences, right? I mean, you don't need to be doing that. You're doing it out of the passion and out of the love for the industry. And as Mark would say, wood is good, right? So I love it.
Hey, Dave, a thing that many people in the industry know is Arnie's responsible for one of the most dynamic sayings in our industry. And Arnie brought forth, wood is cool. And I'll tell you what, when you're in a room and Arnie walks in and he says that, the audience is ready and the audience chants it like it's a Super Bowl. It's amazing. Beautiful.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate that we've grown the audience, and we do love wood, and we love the building products industry, and it brings us back to home. You know, like I said, grew up on a farm, but around the construction business my whole life, and then was just lucky to jump in with Georgia Pacific, and now with our own company, Forest Business Network. So we've been on it for a while and excited about it. So
yeah, I bet you are. Listen, I mean, who can't be excited about it? Our industry's growing, man. It's finally hitting, the center page, as I like to say. We're finally on the cover of all the major newspapers going across the land, which is awesome. And it's going in the right place. And people are really starting to understand the sustainability of what we do and the value of what we do. And we are burning through the misconceptions of what it's all about in our industry on this show. So, all right, Arnie, listen. You're a family man, you're a businessman, you love to fish, but you love to hunt as well, and I love all those things myself. Let's get into this conference and what it's all about. Why don't you give us the grandiose presentation in your mind of, why is this conference so important? How many attendees? How big is it? Let's talk about the growth, and then let's get into the nuts and bolts, because you got some speakers in here on this conference that are not your everyday show up for any conference to talk. These are some real players in the industry that people want to hear.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. I guess I'll start it back. I mentioned Craig Rawlings, but one of his philosophies, and then my partner Tom Waddell lives in Portland, has always been it always starts with the forest, right? It starts there and builds its way up. So one of the things that we do as a conference, and we started this with what's called the Small Log Conference in Coeur d'Alene. It's all about getting the entire supply chain. So at one of our conferences, you're going to be sitting next to a logger. You're going to be sitting next to a construction worker. You're going to be sitting next to an architect now, engineer, technology person. One of the biggest movements has been in the development people, the money people. So it's a real wide audience. But Dave mentioned it earlier. We're starting to now get some momentum for people to understand that, hey, the woods is a good place to be, and forestry is really important to it, and cutting down trees isn't always a bad thing.
No, hey, listen, it's not, right? I mean, cutting down and regrowth is super important, and it's super important to the environment and sustainability, for sure. So one of the things I heard out of what you just said, Arnie, architects, engineers, land planners, forestry people, all coming together, sitting at the same table, collaborating. And that is what the industry needs. We need to collaborate if we're going to move this forward. We can't just stay in our own little silos and think that the world's going to become a better place. It takes effort and it takes collaboration.
I agree. And, you know, if you go back a little bit in history, so we've been involved in a lot of different things. Craig really brings a lot of influence. I call him the Michael Jordan of the small log industry, because literally, you know, we have a newsletter that goes out to about 10,000 people. A typical readership of a newsletter is about 2%.
Yeah.
We actually get about 40, which is extraordinary. But the conference itself, to get kind of the nuts and bolts of that, in 2016, we were expecting 200 people. And all of a sudden we went to 300, 400, 500. And I had to call the hotel and go, how many can it hold? And it was 550. We had 540. But I'll give an example of that first conference. A lot of names that people in the lumber world would know, but Mark Brinkmeyer, the chairman of Idaho Forest Group, and the Vaughan brothers were sitting there, and Dwayne and Mark were talking that their dream was just come true. And the reason was the audience. We went from a bunch of kind of old white guys to a way different audience. And it was fantastic. And just to capitalize on that, one of the things that happened was the technology people. They have changed the course of the lumber industry. And I'll just share this little story about that. Craig Rawlings and I met with Russ Vaughan, and we brought in the heads of Facebook, Google, Microsoft. We're in conjunction with and have been invited to speak with Amazon. So it was a direct change, and never in my life would I have thought that we were going to have that audience to walk through the woods, to see what we're doing, that we're not all about just cutting down trees. But probably one of the most compelling things happened 3 years ago at the conference. We had one of the heads of the Nature Conservancy on stage with a head of Google, Sidewalk Labs, the person, David Ramos, with Adidas. We're going to have that film. They're going to show the finished building. Adidas built their headquarters all out of wood in Portland.
Yeah.
But what he said struck me and struck a lot of our audience. Mark Wishney said, "We love mass timber." That's coming from the Nature Conservancy. And we like all the attributes, the carbon sequestration, all these things. But if you cut the trees down and you turn that into a parking lot, we don't like it anymore. Yeah. But if you use proper forest management, replant trees, regrow trees, you get the ultimate double dip. Carbon sequestration and regrowing trees, healthy forest, healthy environment. It touches whether it's modular construction with wood, regular construction with wood, prefabrication, all of that to combine. That's where wood is cool came from.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Mark, I think you're frozen. So listen, everybody, if you're just joining us, we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Arnie, do you know why we're live on the platform Twitch?
I don't. Tell me.
Well, I happen to have an answer. The young people are on Twitch, Arnie. They are not coming to us. So we decided this is where all the virtual gaming's taking place, and they're playing in the VR world and the AR world. So guess what? We said, you're not going to come to us as an industry. I'm going to bring our industry to them so they can see how cool and how fast it's changing. And I think that's super cool. We are having some issues with the platforms today. It's not our internet issues. They're having some hard time connecting. So for all you on LinkedIn, if you missed a little bit of the beginning of this show, it's on YouTube as well. So we should be good to go. It looks like Mr. Mark Willie is back joining us again. Mark is on the road in Colorado, taking care of business, helping grow our industry, and sharing the word on BS science, T-Stud, and everything else.
Arnie, I love the background you provided to the beginning of the conference days and the progression over the years, and the people that have entered the arena because of their love of what's happening. Right, it came across their radar. They stopped it in their tracks, and they said, "We need to know more." And they worked with you guys. And you mentioned Russ Vagan, another incredible leader in our industry. And we're very blessed to have him in the coming weeks as well.
Yeah, for sure.
We've known that family for, almost 40 years. And Russ Vagan and his dad, Dwayne, and his family. And then Russ, went out on a big limb and put together this incredible factory, which we've been able to go through Vagan Timbers. He's exhibiting as well and will be available. It's one of the things with a conference like this is you just don't know what's going to happen, right? But it's grown, every year. So it went from 500 to 800 to 1,200 to 1,600. And really in March of 2020, we had 2,000 people registered, and from about 30 countries. And in literally 17 days in front of that, it stopped. But one thing I would mention about that is God creates some opportunities for all of us. But this is where this came through that is extraordinary. At that time, we had 89 exhibitors and sponsors. 88 of them rolled over their money to 2021. And then we took that, and I don't mean this to sound arrogant, we're a cash company, but we took all of that and invested it into 2021. So, and the reason why that's important, and then we added a bunch more after that for the momentum. But the reason it's important is we're just a small company. We're a company of 5 people, 6 people. That's it.
Right.
So, we've got Craig Rawlings, my partner, and Tom Waddell, and then Paul Toussaint and Julie Parmley, and then Dave Parcell, I've known for a long time. He's got a lot of marketing and PR expertise. He came in because he moved from San Francisco back to Montana. But it was a blessing, but we're a very small crew. But then we have a support group. Woodworks is our support and co-producer. So you got Jennifer Cover and Bill Parson and Ricky McLean. It's just been a blessing to have them because they bring the technical aspects into the conference.
Right.
And then their connections all over the country. And so Woodworks has been intimately involved with us. And then our committee is really extraordinary. We have Google and Facebook, which is kind of strange to hear on a committee of wood people. But then we have the Forest Service, Brian Brashaw, and we have engineers and architects that are a part of it, and the universities. So having that great committee and having Woodworks support makes it possible. Yeah,
for sure. Well, let's hop into this, Arnie. Let's talk about the technology and what you've really put in to make this such a successful conference. Let's talk about the benefits of why people should be attending this conference. So why don't you give us a little bit of both, I guess, right? What's the investment into this to make
it's a great way to look at it. And we've had the question, hey, wow, should be a lot cheaper. I wish it was that case, but in reality, it's not. And so we partnered with a company called Cvent, and they're one of the largest, if not the largest, virtual event platforms around. But so we invested them in a couple of ways. We invested them on the technology side, but probably more importantly, we invested with them, and they're a production team. So I never thought, I would be doing live broadcasts like this, but essentially we use that platform to produce all of the educational sessions. We've used that to produce a lot of the keynote speeches, but we've also used that as a mechanism for people to get interactive. One of the issues with virtual has been, how do you get interactive? How do we get connected? How do you kind of act, in a sense, like a regular conference, but more importantly, act in the new world? And the platform is actually allowing for some incredible things that are available for all the attendees. So,
how do you act in the new world, right? I mean, that's what everybody's had to figure out this year. That's tough, and that's a T-shirt, right, Mark? We're gonna make T-shirts on that with a quote by Arnie Diddler. How do we act in the new world?
That response time, right, from having a prepared audience last year, and that response time when so many of us were in so much flux. And then to create this in a small amount of months for the sustained growth, everyone was anticipating it coming back, but you're bringing it back in a way in which we haven't had that field work to step off of. And so you're creating the platform for us to be back with our associates and to virtually break bread and plunge into the experience and expertise.
Yeah.
Well, I think so. I mean, what we decided early on, and I don't want to offend anybody, but when you go back and look at the past kind of virtual conferences in our space, they just didn't. How do you interact? How do the exhibitors get a benefit out of it?
Right.
What are the sponsors? But so we actually immersed ourselves, and I mentioned Craig Rawlings a lot. So Craig just turned 70, but he is actually incredibly technically orientated. And then my other business partner is a technical expert. I'm not. But we immersed ourselves predominantly in the technology virtual conferences. And that's where we stole the whole format. So, but one of the things we interview all of our exhibitors and our sponsors, and we gather as much information as possible. What's important?
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that was important was we want to get leads. We want to understand who's interested in our products. We want to be able to talk about our services. So when you go to the conference, so the conference is next Tuesday. It starts. A lot of it's going to be recorded, most of which you won't even know that it's recorded because it's going to look live. Right. That's why the technology was so important. But probably, as I think about it, one of the biggest pluses of virtual is in an old world booth. In 3 days, you might meet 50 people, exchange business cards. In a virtual space at our conference, it's called the Virtual Hub that hosts everything. It's kind of like a mobile app. But basically, if I want to connect with Mark, Dave, Jennifer, Sarah, you can connect one-on-one. It's very private. You have to follow the GDPR rules, and you can't just give out emails and phone numbers. But you have the ability to connect one-on-one with every attendee, speaker, and exhibitor. And that's very powerful. And that is actually, we invested heavily, quite just to put it lightly. So that is available for 90 days. So what does that mean? You have access to 1,700 people that want to talk mass timber. But in your guys' world, even more too, do you want to talk wood? Do you want to talk the forest? Do you want to talk investment? Do you want to talk all those kind of things?
Right.
And then all the educational panels are recorded. All of the tours. We're visiting multiple countries with the tours on Tuesday. You're going to see manufacturing facilities. You're going to see buildings. You're going to hear about the woods. You're going to hear about why sustainability is important. It's a blending of a lot of things that everybody will have access during the conference and after.
I love that. I love that, Arnie. It is fundamentally needed, and the fact that it's provided is so welcoming. That 90 days is epic.
Yeah,
we think so. We don't know what we don't know, right? But I think it's important, because a lot of times you go to a conference and they'll have 4 panels at the same time. And, I want to see these 2 or these 3 or this one. This way you can see all of them. But let's say you want to visit the Adidas building, D.R. Johnson, supplying that product, Lever Architects, Turner Construction. You get an in-depth view. If you want to see a different building, you want to go into the woods with OFRE, Oregon Forest Research, you're going to go into the woods and you're going to hear different thoughts about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is what's interesting, right? When I go to a regular trade show, I'm like a squirrel in the road. Which way do I go? Because I want to be everywhere. I want to see everything. Having that 90 days lets people not miss the experience of what they wanted to hear, because a lot of times there's several things happening that you want to see, and sometimes they're at the same time or talking about it at the same time. And I think bringing that conversation and making it available, not only in the conversational side, but it sounds like also on the virtual side, is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and we're learning as we're going, right? And it's interesting. In the old atmosphere, you sell somebody a booth, they know what to do. They spend 2 weeks building a booth. They print advertising, They print promotional material, they buy, hats or whatever it is, that kind of garbage. It's different now. You prepare different. But what we think is going to happen is it's going to create an opportunity for hybrid events as well. So I'll give an example. We have 36 countries registered right now. Mm-hmm. So people from all different time zones, and our speakers are all from different time zones.
Yeah.
The other thing it does for us is if you go into an exhibitor booth, you go into Maxon, or you go into Tallwood Institute, or you go into Woodworks, or you go into Katera, they have a repository of information. So they can put up to 50 things in there. PDFs, information, videos. In addition to that, you can go into the booth and there's a little button that just click to give your information. So why is that important? Because then you're essentially saying, yeah, I want to talk to you about something. In addition to that, we didn't think we were going to be able to pull this off. I mean, the technology is changing every day. But about a month ago, we got word that our exhibitors could host their own virtual Zooms within the conference.
Yeah.
Those are not recorded, and they're not recorded because they might be talking about technical stuff or financial stuff. So those aren't recorded, but those are going to be live. So we have like 30 exhibitors that are going to host live Q&As. You're going to get to know them. They'll have a group. There's a calendar, a separate calendar that you can look at that. It's all about interactive. You can connect one-on-one. You can go to group Zoom meetings. You can watch presentations. You can watch educational panels. There'll be Q&A live with those. That gets recorded that you can watch later on as well.
It's wonderful, Arnie. What an access, right? Because, again, comparatively speaking, you're not getting on a plane. You're not losing time with your family and coworkers, emails and loved ones. And now you're able to connect with people on the other side of the trade show floor that you couldn't have before because you were in the Wood Foundation group, and you wanted to get to the Tall Wall group, and you couldn't get there. And then you bumped into your friend, and you had an hour discussion, and you missed them both.
Well, You're absolutely right. But I think a big part of this is your Tuesday virtual tours, right? And we started flashing them up on the screen. So we do virtual tours all the time. We go live and we're in the manufacturers and we do that. And it is such a powerful tool because people want to see. People are not out traveling like they used to. So the fact that you added this, Arnie, to your conference, I think is fabulous. It is. It's beyond fabulous. So, I mean, you got virtual tours with Google's Mass Timber Pilot Project in California, right? You have Edge. I don't even know how to say that. Sud Cruise in Berlin, Germany, which is amazing. Katera CLT Factory. We had this on our show recently, so we did a virtual tour here on Dave Cooper Live with that. If you haven't seen it, you're gonna love it. It's an amazing factory, highly automated, right? So, I mean, just those three things alone should garner you 5,000 new attendees.
Well, hopefully we've got a lot of attendees. You know, it's going to be pushing 2,000 for sure. But you talk about the tours. So just a kind of as a preview of that. So Google called us. We know them quite well, and they're doing this, you know, pilot project, which is a 180,000 square foot project.
Yep.
So for your audience alone, you're going to hear from Google. Literally, they're going to tell you their entire process on how they decided to go with mass timber and why they like wood. So yeah, I talk mass timber, but it's about wood in general. We're wood supporters. There's lots of reasons for that for lots of different ways. I spent my career, you know, in the wood business. Mass timber is a utilization process that utilizes small diameter timber through an engineering process to make really cool products. It's not new. Glulams and big timbers have been around for a long time. Right. CLT is the buzzword you hear, the cross-laminated timber, and that's got applications in a lot of residential applications. And you're seeing on the in IKEA is now building in a factory modular housing using CLT. You're seeing that with Swan in the UK. But the idea behind this is getting a wide audience. So yeah, we have the Adidas headquarters. Here's what I think this is fascinating. Talking to Adidas people, right? I've got a background in athletics, used to play a little ball, still do a little bit of that kind of junk. But so, you know, Adidas, right? I'm thinking gym shoes, right? So I'm talking to David, who's featured on the film. You'll see these, you know, DR Johnson stuff. But I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, tell me what's the skinny? Why mass timber? And this is what they said. It's to attract talent. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And here's what he said. He goes, we want the next LeBron James. But more realistic for our business is we need the best marketing person. We need the best technology person. We need the best salespeople. We need the best HR people. And what they were saying is by using mass timber and the story of wood, why wood is sustainable. Can you document that it's coming from a healthy forest? Are you replanting trees? And they wanted to rest assured that that was happening. And what they could say with that is with a straight face, hey, we built this. And then you walk in the building, you know, I think a lot of people have heard of Michael Green. He was one of our first speakers. You know, he had like 1.5 million views of his TED Talk. One of the things that he said, and he said it in front of our audience in 2016, how many people hug a concrete beam? But a lot of people will hug these wood beams. And it's not against the concrete business. We are very close partners with them. You're going to see facilities that are built, including Cree, that the German name that nobody can pronounce, but Cree is showing a building. We've got Katera showing buildings using a mix of products, steel, concrete, and wood. We think that makes sense. And it's the other thing we do at the conference. So we're showing off, you know, USNR's products that are into FREER's, incredible facility, mass plywood. But then you get to see the building that they built and supported, which is a school. And those kids are going to get to see all of that happening. And it's a locally produced product. It's a wood product. It's in their backyard. It's exciting. Get them while they're early, right?
That's right.
Hey, Arnie, I love what you said there. And I thought of a t-shirt line right away. So we don't knock other industries and materials, but we do knock on wood.
I like it. Yeah.
So I think it's fascinating that you were taken in by this film that everyone will get to see from Adidas, and that inclusiveness of drawing the team in to support their players and athletes, to grow the market and to grow the brand. And I'm surprised that they haven't tried to pull you from the Forest Business Network, because your message is shorter, sweeter, and more powerful than that. Wood is cool, brother.
It is cool. You know, and so you go back to this virtual piece, and what's extraordinary. So we really like the idea that we can show off things virtually, right? So here's what is going on. We hear the word revitalization, right? Revitalization. Oh, what's going to happen with this community, that community? So we're a little bit, prejudiced in a sense, because we love Missoula, Montana, right? I grew up in the Chicago area on a farm, and I love the mountains. We're in Missoula, Montana. That's where Craig Rawlings lives. So our virtual reception, we have a partner, Tom Waddell, that's real creative, and he loves travel. He's traveled all over the world. So if you are familiar with the Anthony Bourdain show, where he goes and has meals and talks about stuff, we're doing that on Tuesday. It's 12:15 Mountain, 11:15 is our virtual reception. And we're going to show and showcase Missoula, Montana. And what we're going to do is we're going, I know Mark knows these, but the old Bonner sawmill, which was a Champion mill and then a Stimson mill, we helped rebuild that into there's a chipping operation, but there's a brewery. There's a 4,500 seat theater, outdoor theater that's got ranked in the top 5 in the United States. We're going to show that. There's a thing called the Sawmill District, downtown Missoula. It's the old Owens and Hearst facility. Yeah. They reclaimed that. They're making it a tech hub, and it's already sold out. They're building mass timber buildings. One of the exciting ones we're visiting, University of Montana, is just, fingers crossed, we're this close, 7-story, all wood, new forestry building. It's going to be an incredible place. It's still got to get some funding going, but it's looking good. There's been some large donations, but we're going to meet with those people. So during that virtual reception, you're going to get to see that. And then there's some surprises in there to have a lot of fun that everybody will appreciate. So
I love it. I love it. Why don't we say hi to a few people? What do you think, Mark?
Real quick, Dave. Arnie, this shows that you know your audience, right? You have people that travel the globe, as you say, visiting restaurants, or visiting ballparks, or visiting museums, and such, churches, and you're allowing people to visit what they love, their passion, from the mills to the forest to these incredible buildings. And if there's a project on the fence, whether it's 7-story or 30-story, whether it's a reminiscent of our old heavy timber days, or whether it's one of the many flavors of mass timber, that will no longer be on the fence. Right. That will be on the framework to blast off. And it's because of the energy created by your team and this incredible industry. Bless your heart.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. All right, let's go. We got people here lining up just to say hello, tell us where they're from, give us a hard time, all the good stuff. All right, we got Nicole Emilio Casper. Good afternoon. She is, oh yeah, she's a documentary and a film awards winner. So, hey, thank you so much, Nicole, for tuning in today. Glad to have you. Rob Hoskin, meet them where they are. Going to part of our earlier conversation. We got Bill Reiger from New Jersey. What's happening, Bill? And we have Peter Moonin. Great to see the enthusiasm of Dave, Arnie, and Mark. It really moves the dial on opportunities for wood. I think he means
Dave.
Wood. Forward.
Hey, Dave, that is probably the least Peter has ever said. Arnie knows Peter. You get on the phone with Peter, you don't need to talk. He's going to fill you up with so many wonderful things. So thank you for being here, Peter.
Good. Well, hey, Peter.
Just to mention, Peter is actually one of our speakers and will help moderate a panel, which is fantastic. And, you know, one of the things that we did too along the lines of it is we decided to do some things different, and virtual helped us. So this is something that I think many of the people here would really like, and I got to see a preview of it. But Ivy Zellman from Zellman & Associates, she's kind of considered one of the top construction analysts in North America. She's on all the major networks, all of that. She actually did a keynote speech. There's Ivy there. But what's interesting about Ivy is she is also going to provide her March update report, which is actually a really big investment to every attendee. So you go to her booth and you can get the download of the Zellman & Associates construction report. And I can tell you, I saw a little preview of it. It's really, really interesting, and it's really good news. And it'll surprise a lot of people what she has to say. She looks at things a lot different. And then she has an incredible network. So she doesn't know mass timber, right? She went and did a tremendous amount of research, which she's going to kind of quote unquote unveil during the conference. And some of it really hits home. But I can tell you right now is you're going to hear some things she says, and there's going to be people lining up in her door because she's ready to invest heavily into this industry, which is really powerful. And another thing we do, some people know it, but as the North American Mass Timber Report, right? This is something we produce. We changed this year. It's called the International Mass Timber Report. And we enlisted Lac Malenza out of Oregon State to help with that. But everybody that attends, so we typically sell that for, I think it was last year was $469, but everybody that attends gets a PDF download of that. I just saw it. We just literally just finished it. You got some incredible authors from the folks at the Beck Group, and we have Oregon State, and we have the Ben and Emily from Kaiser Path. And then we have a lot of other people that gave a lot of information. It's 230 pages this year, huge information. People use it from around the world. So we're going to offer that up for every attendee, but that's just little bits and parts that we can do. But going back to Ivy, we've been trying to get her for 3 or 4 years, right? But because of virtual, we were able to do that. She gives a presentation. She offered to provide this particular presentation that she's given, which has got a lot of information that's really pertinent to home builders and construction people across North America. So pretty fun to see that unfold.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's continue with some more of the comments. As you can see, there is a lot of information at this conference. It is not for the lack of information you're going to this conference. You're going to fill your brain with so much good stuff that I don't know if your brain can handle it all. That's how much stuff they have. But either way, there's something for everybody. All right, moving forward, what do we have here? Bill Reiger is with us from YouTube. Bill says, depends on perspective, all roads lead out of New Jersey. You know what? Lately they do, because guess what? I mean, this morning we were just on a call with the government of Ireland, and believe it or not, the person we were talking to was from New Jersey. How does that work, right? All roads lead to New Jersey and Ireland now, I suppose. If Jerry McCaughey was with me, he would agree. We got George Ryman from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm going to pull Mark out. He froze there until he unfreezes. And we got John Magnan back. What's happening, John? He said, great conference. I went a few years ago in Portland. So there you have. Peter's back, Mark. See, you got him worked up. Peter Moonen, great to see this happening. It really moves the dial on mass timber opportunities. I love it. I love it. I love it. We got good old Brian. We got Brian. Go ahead, Mark.
Dave, one of the things Peter's working on right now is not only the constructability of our many timber products, right? But the deconstruction and unconstruction / reuse. And we just heard about that recently from our friends at Rothoplast. Yeah. But this is inspiring to always give people a flag in the sand, right? To say, while we're already thinking about our walls and our structures, are we thinking about the next gen? And, you know, we're all quite sure that the next gen is going to embrace our beautiful wood is cool even more. So thank you, Peter.
Sure. Yeah, and definitely.
We talk a lot about the circular economy. If you pull up that first page of the website, Dave, you can kind of see, and there's a young lady, Tamara, who's going to talk about that. But you can see Ivy and then Anthony Wood from CTBUH. If you go down the other way, you'll see that whole list of folks. But what's extraordinary about that, you know, Michelle Kaufman from Google, Tamara right there, Natalie from Michael Green, up a little bit that I can't see, but you've got Kate Ross from Microsoft, Stacy from Skanska, Annalee is a developer in Portland, Sandeep is the CEO of Cove Tool, Lena Warehouser from Build and Wood Project. But we have these fireside chats at the end of Wednesday and Thursday. They really are going to be extraordinary. The components of that are all around healthy buildings, why wood makes sense, not just mass timber, why wood makes sense, what, you know, where does it touch climate change? Where does it touch carbon sequestration? Those are big topics. But then again, you have access to all of these people through what's called the virtual hub. So, you know, generating ideas, talking about things, sharing information. And I think, you know, the biggest thing that I've seen, the biggest change is the embracing of forest health. We hear the fires, we see this, we see that, but rural development, rural economy, all of those things. And you have an opportunity to touch a lot of that and hear a lot of that through the keynotes, through the exhibitor presentations, but a lot coming at you. And that's why we just realized there's so much information. Keep the exhibit hall open for the 90 days. Keep the contact buttons open. You can, you know, click on it, set appointments, put it in your calendar, all of those things. But we're just excited. Thank you so much for having us. But it's just, it's an exciting time, a lot of moving parts. Virtual, quite honestly, is much tougher to put on right now than in person. But it's all kind of coming together, and we kick off Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So
well, and you can get a lot more done. You can get a lot more done in the virtual. Let's get through our hellos to everybody. We got a lot of people that tuned in to hear you, so we always like to make sure we give our shout outs. We are at our 52-minute mark, so let's go through some of these. We saw Brian Iverson from T-Stud was there. He says hello, and let me see. Man, Brian's busy today. Let me see. He wrote, hi, Dave. Hi, Mark. Hi, Arnie. I love it. Here you go. Brian Iverson from T-Stud. Good to have you, Brian, as always. We got Matthias Gelber, it looks like, right? Hi from the Philippines, working with the Finnish company Avant Wood. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We're all around the world, and that's what's great about a conference like this. It doesn't mean you have to be somewhere in particular. As long as you have an internet connection, you can attend this conference. We're going to have a conference, too. We have Rory. Hey, Rory from Casca out of Alberta, Canada, and just stumbled on your show. Great initiative building with mass timber. We appreciate it, Rory. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to keep working my way down the list, gentlemen. Give me 1 second. Hey, guess what? We got one of your suppliers here, Will Everett. Check out Eurotech GmbH booth at the International Mass Timber Conference. Will, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. We love it. Buzz Holitzer, what's happening, Buzz? He says, Faffy Friday.
Happy Friday with the PH to you too, brother.
I love it. I love it. Peter's back at it. Thanks, Mark. Not many materials are well suited to reuse than mass timber. I love it. Oh, man. I love it. I love it. And, of course, John Magnus. Thank you, Jennifer. I caught part of it. I guess maybe they were talking behind the scenes. All right. If I missed anybody, my apologies. There's actually, they're still coming. Give me 1 second. I think we're good. Whoop.
So we have 90 days, right, to catch the conference. And you have 365 days to connect, follow, and learn from Forest Business Network. There's no one more connected and supported. They see the forest through the trees. Talk to them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I can't thank you guys enough. And we're all on the same team, right? You know, wood is cool. Wood is good, as was mentioned. And what all starts with the forest. You know, can we have a healthy forest?
Question from John Magnan. Are any North American companies doing mass timber kit homes?
The short answer is not necessarily kits, but they're moving in that direction. The Frears Group did some A-frame cabins out of mass plywood. Extraordinary how quick they're doing them. We mentioned Russ Vaughan, who will be on in a couple of weeks. He's doing some project work with that. And again, you know, we're seeing that around the world with IKEA's doing some things with kind of kit projects. They built about 13,000 of them now. So we're starting to see that come to fruition.
And I would say to that answer, John, again, Arnie said it earlier, it's not just mass timber. So it's all of the products that go from the logging through the sawyers and the mills. And so you have the flat pack, you have the panelization, you have the engineered products, which of course I love, right? And this goes on modular, as well as the small units, the ADUs and those kit homes. So they are out there, and depending on your zone and your local codes, you can have your building designed and modeled using these materials.
That's right.
And have such a robust, healthy, comfortable dwelling.
And to jump on that, one of the things that we're seeing, a big movement is going up. So you have a 2-story brick building in a city, and they're going up a couple of stories because of the weight is so much lighter with using wood products. And then you have a lot of flexibility to do that. But lots of opportunities, and you can produce it in a lot of different sizes and panels and all that. But excited to be a part of it. And again, I can't thank you guys enough. But you know, you're invited to come to the conference, and it's not too late. You can engage and come up until the day of, and you'll actually be able to register after that. But because everything will be accessible except a few things that are live.
I love it.
Arnie, because you're on today with your special announcements, Dave has his wonderful soapbox, and I have my wonderful soapbox because we love them. I have an announcement for you and Arnie, and Dave already knows this. He's got the inside scoop. We're bringing out the 2x8, Arnie, so we can and your friends.
Say it one more time, Mark. You broke up there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So Arnie, we have a special announcement for you and your friends today. The 2x8 is available Q3 of 2021, and it is thermally broken, brother, and It is tall, and it is ready to play games.
Awesome. Good. Well, love it. Arnie, thank you so much. Mark, you're frozen again, but hopefully you can still hear me. Arnie, it's been a pleasure having you. We're so excited that you chose us to help you get the word out for your conference. There's a lot of people tuning in. We really appreciate it. If anybody wants to re-listen to any part of this, you can find it on our YouTube channel. So please, and while you're there, subscribe. All your support, just like Arnie with conferences. It takes all of us to keep the conversation going, and just that little like and share on all of our shows and subscriptions really helps. So we really appreciate each and every one of you out there. Arnie, I look forward to checking out the conference myself and being part of the conversations that are happening there. And I'm also looking forward to celebrating your success. I think that would be a lot of fun just as well. I think maybe a pre-conference or post-conference wrap-up we should have. Wouldn't that be awesome?
I like it. Wood is cool. Remember that.
Yeah, maybe we get a bunch of the panel members that you have, and we have a big group discussion, and they talk about the good, bad, and the ugly, and how we can make things even better. I love it. So
knock on wood that we could talk about this every day of the year.
Every day. We do talk about it every day, but not the mass his conference. I'm losing my mind. I love it. Okay. So the International Mass Timber Conference is coming up. I'm going to put it in the ticker down below, the 30th through the 1st, and the website's there as well. Jennifer, if you want to put that in there, I see you're moving some things around on me. There it is. Show dates March 30th through April 1st. You definitely want to attend. There's going to be a lot going on. Virtual tours, Google, Katera, you name it. You're all over the place. So this is going to be something not to miss. And guess what? A lot of you heard it for the first time right here on Dave Cooper Live, and we are very grateful for everybody and everyone. Mark's on the road, so everybody say happy travels and safe travels to you, Mark, as you're on your journey, and congratulations on the 2x8 T-stud that is coming out. Brian Iverson, I know you're in the background, so I'll give you a shout-out. Brian, I'm still waiting on my coffee mug, man. I want my coffee mug. Arnie wants a coffee mug, too. All right, everybody, we'll see you later. Arnie, don't go anywhere. We'll come back to you right after the outro. Bye now.
Thank you.